Yeah, given our next movie, which of course I'm segueing into right now, our next movie being the 2012 film Compliance, I really don't think that Tanner and Nico are going to align on this one. Nico, tell us about it.
Yeah, sure thing. So Compliance is the true story of a quote-unquote man of the law calling up a fast food restaurant and accusing an employee of stealing from a customer, which spirals into untold horrors for said employee. And it is all 100% real and did happen. It's real, Dylan. It's real.
You saying it like that makes me not believe it. Tanner, I'd love to hear a fun fact based on a real life scenario.
Fun fact, some of the phone conversations were done over an actual phone line.
Oh, that's fun.
That would make sense. So wait, this cop, the guy on the other end of the line was, like, in reality, a police officer.
No.
Okay, thank God.
In the real life case, he was like a security guard.
That's basically the same thing, dude.
Dylan, what'd you think of this film?
Fuck this movie. It doesn't need to exist.
No?
No. I get that it's based on I get it's based on a true story. I'm not trying to downplay what happened in real life. I think what happened in real life is a true tragedy based on, like, what we have in today's society. However, I don't need a play-by-play recreation of something that happened. I think this is something you either see in a documentary or you read about online. I don't think it needs to be a movie. I don't know why this movie exists. I did not enjoy watching it. The acting made it seem like it's, like, something happening in real life, you know? I didn't feel like I was watching a movie. That's something I've heard Jackson say before, so I'm just gonna use it here. That's fine. The movie made me extremely uncomfortable. Again, I don't know why this movie exists. It didn't have to be. This is something I watch, like, a 12-minute YouTube video for if I really wanted to. It's horrible. I don't like
slay.
It. What's funny is I kind of agree with Dylan here. I do think they stretched the premise a bit too much. Like, I don't think it filled up its runtime very well at all. And I was like, yeah, this probably should just be like a 1 hour like TV special or something and not a full ass movie.
Yeah, I see very little value in the creation of this film as a whole. Like, this really just doesn't need to have been made. I don't understand why they put in the effort. I agree, this definitely feels like it drags on a bit. There's a lot of just, like, fucking artsy setting shots and shit. I don't really know why they need to fucking do that. Seems like they're just,
dude,
like,
imagine
this
being
like
that girl and you go and see it in theaters.
Oh my god. Or, like, the fact that they make, like, I can't imagine what her reaction's either vindication or complete disgust, and there's no in between.
Anyways, back to what I was saying. The fucking, the whole cinematography of this film's shot like a fucking TV show for the most part. It doesn't really feel super inspired. They just don't need to show nudity. We fucking get it. She's stripped down. We don't need to see her fucking naked. It just seems gratuitous and stupid. I don't know why they do that.
Yeah, I do think you need to be really careful with that kind of stuff because it does start to lean into the sort of, like, exploitative part of it if you do that too much, where it's like, isn't this, like, a little titillating, though? It's like, that's not the emotion anyone should be feeling in this scene.
Like, we get the fucking idea. There was plenty of, like, racks and shit. They could have cleverly hit her behind something like that, too. We just didn't need to see it. It just really adds more credence to, like, why the fuck did this movie need to be made? Like, granted, this is, of course, also an insanely frustrating movie to watch because the characters are just insanely stupid. And, you know, you can just deflect all of this on the fact that it is, in fact, you know, a real story. This actually happened. These retards did actually exist in real life. But one of the things I actually don't like about the way they presented it is that we don't actually see, like, a live retelling of what's actually happening, and we're given credence to that because of the interview that happens at the end, where they're telling, or, you know, they're saying things that happened, and the fucking manager's deflecting. But, like, they also show, like, blatant evidence of her actually doing these, like, fucked up things, like ignoring her when she's, like, asking for help and things. But we don't see that in the movie. It's just some shit that showed in, like, the after credits in this interview. I don't like that, personally. Not a fan, because that... It just seems fucking manipulative. I don't like it.
Wait, what do you mean by that last point, though?
That it's manipulative?
No, like... What do you mean, like...
For example, they... Like, in the interview, they had asked her, like, why didn't you, like, get her out of there? She was, like, she was asking you for help when you came in, and she just She was like,
Oh,
okay. I don't remember her doing that. And then they show a clip of her doing that. But guess what? That clip wasn't something we actually saw. It was just in the interview segment.
Okay.
Things like that. Like, we were literally missing pieces of information. I don't understand why they would present it that way. It just seems very strange.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I understand all of those complaints. To give it some props, it is very effective at what it's trying to do. You are so fucking uncomfortable the whole time.
I was tense throughout like this entire film's runtime.
Yeah. You are dreading what is going to happen next, and I think the performances are pretty good all around.
Mm-hmm.
True. It does feel very true to life.
Yeah. And like I mentioned, and I'll just say for the audience, I find it so funny that for the most part, it was like the men that were like catching on that something was off, but the women were all like all in on this.
Yeah, let me... Actually, I'll save you. I kind of have a rant too, so I'll wait.
Okay. Go ahead. That was all I had to say.
I mean, to touch on something that Jackson actually said, I want to spill my heart out here for a moment, dude. So
he's the one who did this.
You know, Jackson mentioned like the people in this film are just like really stupid, but you know, let's just get this out here. This is the most famous incident that happened from a string of scams. As the film said at the end, there were like over 70 of these things, but perpetrated by like this one person. And a lot of them did include like strip searches. Some of them were conducted on customers as well. Like fucking customers would pull in and do this shit too as well. So like, you know, fucking, like, it seems like anyone can really fall for this sort of thing. I don't think there is as much of an idea of, like, they're just dumb or, like, super gullible. Like, aside from, like, just those ones, there were also a lot of unrelated ones as well, where, like, fucking... someone, like, called in to... It was, like, a KFC or something like that. They called in, were like, hey, we need to, like, just, like, make sure that your sprinklers or something like that are working properly. And so, like, you know, the employees, like, they accidentally end up activating the sprinklers because that's what those people are actually telling them to do, which caused like some foam and shit to get over like some employees' skins, and then the people are, oh my gosh, it got on your skin. That shit's really toxic. What you need to do now is you need to strip down and you need to pee on it. It's like a jellyfish thing. Are you familiar with those? And they actually went through and did it. They fucking peed on each other, stripped down naked, all that shit. There was another where some employees were told that their restaurant was filling with gas, and so they needed to break all the windows in order to, like, you know, not make the place fucking explode. And they went through and did that. They broke all the windows. This sort of like obeying to authority is just something that people seem to just kind of do. And I'm sure that if you ask like any of those people, like, hey, would you like do this thing if you were just like told to? Of course they'd all say no. But once you get into the actual reality of the situation, it's like, oh, maybe there's like something a little more to this.
I get that, and like I mentioned, like at the beginning, I'm like, oh, so some dude heard about the Stanford prison experiment and decided to go as far as possible. But this is all canceled out if you just know that police officers don't call you.
True. Yeah, with that, so it's unfortunate because those scenarios seem somehow more legitimately...
Some of those seem more believable, to be sure. Now, I will say, my suspension of disbelief was not ultimately broken.
That's good. I think that
I would agree with that. I think the biggest thing, and the reason why my suspension of disbelief wasn't broken, is that the fucking guy on the phone actually legitimately did like a good job of convincing. Like he legitimately, like the girl said, he had a fucking answer to all of her, you know, like everything they would ask. Mm-hmm. He did a good job fucking directing and leading the situations. Granted, some of them are like go to the point of absurdity. Like, yeah, I'm gonna have you get spanked by this guy for disobeying order. What? But you know, still.
Yeah, I think he did a really great job of feeling very authoritative. I think that the only part of any of that where it's like, okay, come on, was when like the fucking fiance or whatever came in and he was immediately like, okay, tell me what her nipples look. I feel like that was a little too quick to really feel very believable.
Yeah, no, like that's like why the fuck would you ever continue with that conversation after that? What the fuck would you ever get out of telling a police officer that information?
Yeah, exactly. Which, like, by the way, the fucking real dude in that situation, he also went through with all that shit in the film too, which is just fucking insane.
Oh, so you could just go under the assumption that guy was kind of just a piece of shit, and he was like, hell yeah, dude, yeah, sure, her nipples? Yeah, let me get a closer look.
Was he drunk in real life too?
I don't think so. Like, I'm sure that they did that for the film just to be like, okay, this will give you a little more of like leeway as to why he would go through with it. But like, I don't know. I think that maybe on some level, like, he gets, like, because he's being told to do this, like, by some sort of person of authority, he's feeling, like, more of an attachment between, like, himself and the acts he's committing, so he feels like he can go through with it, and it's like, you know, he's being told to do it, and this guy's like, I'll take the rap for everything, so, like, don't worry about it, but, yeah, I don't know, I just wouldn't count out too much, like, oh, these are just gullible people, you know?
Right. What's your rant, Dylan?
Yeah.
5 fucking minutes later. Anyway, I don't know, dude. Like, I wish this movie was like Hollywood trying to make this a believable story, but unfortunately it's not the case, because here's the thing. The whole police officers don't call you thing, that is understandable maybe on a personal level. I do think there are instances, however, where police officers will call, like, an establishment maybe. So maybe the whole premise of, well, regardless.
They'll never establish first contact via phone. They'll meet with you in person, and then maybe they'll say, hey, I will call you. Here's what my official police number is.
Well, there you
Especially if in the instance like this, where they're, like, just down the fucking street, it makes no sense.
Yeah, so, and just to skip ahead, they were like, are you aware that the police station was 0.5 miles away from where your place of employment was? And she was like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, you live in the town and you work in the town and you don't know your police station is half a mile down the road? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, how dense do you have to be?
I think, like, to some degree you can just believe she's lying there.
Well, yeah, I have to, because she was shown to be lying throughout the interview.
Yeah, she's trying to save face.
And it's just like, she's a working, there's so many issues, and I can't even go after the movie, because if it's, I'm so fucking frustrated with just everything, because the evidence stacked against her is the police officer stated she reached into the customer's purse and grabbed money out. Not only was it the busiest time of the day, there were at least 15 plus people around, there was also her coworker right next to her, and both of her bosses in the same building, probably right behind her. So that fucking is stupid. So that evidence, no, bullshit. Tell me your fucking badge number and all that shit in your precinct, whatever the fuck. Give me evidence to believe why this is real. And also tell me why you know more than, I mean, to be fair, yes, it's understandable the cops can know more of a background behind a person, but if you have a handful of people you work with saying that this is unusual behavior and she's never done shit like this before, maybe take the police officer's, like, story with a grain of salt, and then maybe after, you know, maybe not more than 2 fucking hours of waiting for cops to show up, even though this guy keeps saying, we have people on the way, we're just really busy. Dude, cops aren't so fucking busy, they can't spare 1 officer. So that's bullshit too. Like, you're gonna tell me the shift started at around 8 or 11. It looked like by the time things were wrapped up, it was close to 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. You're telling me that they waited for 10 hours for a police officer to show up after they were told that it was going to show up? And then plus, why, even if they aren't allowed to share the details of why she's being held for questioning or whatever the fuck, they're not gonna go over like, oh yeah, well, we searched her already, so that's fine. They're not gonna, like, conglomerate, come together, be like, oh yeah, well, I was already told to search her. And it's like, oh, that's weird, he also asked me to search her, and she was already naked. And
well, it's like, easy for you to say these things, Dylan, when you're not in that situation, though, is the thing. Like, I'm sure for all these people in hindsight, they're like, yeah, why didn't we think that or anything like that? But, like, you know,
no,
sometimes
that's
people
bullshit.
just act irrationally.
I don't know, that seems too unbelievable, but again, this was based in reality. This movie's too unbelievable for me to imagine. That, like, I thought this whole time this had to be a Hollywood production, but it wasn't, I guess. There's just so many things, and any logical, sane person, like, in The Fiancé didn't seem like that bad of a guy. There was definitely a line that was drawn, and you could see it. You could see it in his, like, mental psyche where he should have and could have drawn the line, and he just chose not to because he decided to believe, oh yeah, we just need to make sure for, like, birthmarks or tattoos, you know, identifying features of a person. Like, yeah, sure, you can have an answer for anything, but that's usually how con artists work. They have answers for everything. I have answers for bullshit all the time. You guys know this. I say random nonsense all the time, and you guys don't believe that shit for a second. Now, granted, it's not the most intelligent shit ever, but regardless, it's not hard to come up with an answer on the spot, especially if you're clever enough. That's not a challenge. And I don't know, there's just too many oddities in this movie, and again, didn't need to exist. I have too many issues with this movie. I'm ready to go to the fucking rankings if you guys are. I'm hoping, I'm not even gonna, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm ready for my ranking.
I don't know, Dylan, are you familiar with the Ash conformity experiment? Okay, we can...
Nope.
We can move on, it's fine.
Should we try to see if we can order ourselves from bottom to top here on who ranks it the lowest to highest?
Yeah, Dylan, start.
Yeah, Dylan, I think Dylan's lowest.
Yeah, I thought about it as I went on that rant. I think I felt my ranking of this movie actively go down as I continued to rant about it. Now granted, it doesn't drop much, but that's because, there's not too much farther it can drop. Actually...
F minus.
Which would... Damn, we're trying to go in order here. Fuck it, dude.
You don't have to obey that order. If you want to put it somewhere higher, you can.
Fuck it. I'm giving it an F.
Jesus.
I was originally gonna give it a D-, but I talked myself down way further than I thought I would.
Yeah, apparently.
Dude, how conveniently, because I gave it a D-.
Whoa.
I think there's value in reaching this story out to people. I do think the acting is well done, but yeah,
not in this
movie,
format, dude. Not in this format.
Not a fucking fan. Not a fan.
Okay, Nico, let's say our ranks at the same time to see if we got the three-peat this week.
All right, Jackson, count it down.
3, 2, 1, go.
C. Holy shit.
Holy fuck, dude.
You guys both gave it B. That's crazy.
No, I gave it a C.
Oh,
never mind. Bummer. Yeah, I like the message that this film is sort of what it's trying to point out, the sort of idea of check, isn't it fucked up what people just do because they're told to, and just kind of the rabbit hole it can go down through that train of thought. But overall, I don't think this film flops as hard as Cuties in delivering its message, but I also don't think it succeeds as well as some Sound of Freedom does.
Yeah, I mean, okay, admittedly, I thought about it after I said it. I think I let the flush of emotions get to me a little bit too much. I can acknowledge that this movie is not terrible. Like I said, it did feel like I wasn't watching a movie, so I'll give it props for that. It's not unwatchable, I just don't quite get why it exists.
Wait, why does it get props for not feeling like a movie?
Because it felt like I was just watching people live their life. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
Feels
will in fact restore it back to its original ranking that I gave it of a D-. I think I was being...
Quickest
it's not...
rank of all time.
F-tier movies are pretty much unwatchable in my opinion, and this movie
This
is
is pretty fucking unwatchable. I would never want to watch this movie
It's
again.
on the cusp, dude. It's on D-. It's close enough. I can see its cinematography.
Alright, what's its overall?
C-.
Whoa.
Too fucking high.
Based. So
You're right.
true.